Right, Shalom. First of all, I just want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Rakakudash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath, and Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now, this lesson is going to be based on a deadly earthquake or deadly twin quakes that hit Venezuela, which so far has resulted in 164 people dead. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and the Lord's will, you're edified. It says at least 164 people dead after twin quakes in Venezuela, acting president says. More than 900 people have been injured, but the complete death toll is feared to be much higher, given the number of collapsed and damaged buildings. It says at least 164 people have been killed and 971 injured after Venezuela's most powerful earthquake in more than a century, according to the country's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez. The 7.5 magnitude quake struck 39 seconds after a 7.2 magnitude foreshock. Says a resident who survived a quake that hit Caracas in 1967 said the disaster was unlike anything he had experienced. Another resident who escaped a damaged building said the scene was like a horror movie. Said the search for survivors in the rubble is underway, while millions of Venezuelans living abroad scramble to contact loved ones. The U.S. sent rescue teams and other resources, according to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who also said the country's main airport is badly damaged. So the disaster comes at a dire time for Venezuela, which is in a which is deep in a political and financial crisis. Yeah, and part of that is because of the evil works of the U.S. But hey, these are the last days that we're living in. And through the Spirit, myself and all the other men of the Lord have been saying that things were going to get a whole lot worse, a lot more dangerous, a lot more deadly. And we're witnessing that. And you see what the Lord just did here in Venezuela. And in California, they've been saying that California is overdue for a major earthquake. So if the Lord can do this to Venezuela, imagine what the Lord is going to do to California when that happens. 2 Timothy 3:1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And when you look up the definition of perilous, it means full of It means full of danger or risk. And we are clearly in some times full of danger. The earthquakes, the fires, the heat waves, the storms, the torrential rains, the hail, the lightning, tornadoes, hurricanes, tropical storms, volcano eruptions, food shortages, wars and rumors of wars, diseases, viruses. There's just so many things happening that can cause destruction, that can injure people, that can kill people, that can cause chaos. There was also, I can't remember where it was, but there was also another mass shooting here in the U.S. So just like I've been saying through the Spirit, this summer was always going to be a very intense one. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake, and great noise, with storm and tempest, and the flame of devouring fire. And the Lord basically visited Venezuela with two earthquakes, a 7.2 and a 7.5. And those are far from being some lightweight earthquakes. And like they said in the article, 164 people have been confirmed dead so far. There's no telling how many people are still unconfirmed dead. Like it says in Hebrews 10 and 31, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. And those people out there in Venezuela are living that right now. Matthew 24 and 20, it's like Matthew 24 and 4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places. And you look up the definition of diverse, and it means many or multiple. And anybody that's been paying attention has seen that there are earthquakes happening in many and in multiple places all over the world. Second Ezra 9 and 1. He answered me then, and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, and like I said, if you're paying attention, you can see that there's plenty of both of these things happening. There's plenty of earthquakes happening and uproars of the people in the form of riots and protests happening all over the world. It says, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders, and powerful works, and endings and effects and signs. And those two earthquakes that the Lord just hit Venezuela with were some powerful works, some powerful, destructive, deadly works. And it resulted in a lot of people being killed and a lot more being injured. Deuteronomy 32:39. See now that I, even I am he, and there is no power with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And that's right. And through his judgments, the Lord kills and wounds many people every day. It's just that some of these judgments result in a lot more people being wounded and killed than other judgments do. But because this judgment came straight from the Heavenly Father, there was nothing that could have been done to stop it. And there was nothing that could have been done to deliver all the people who have died out of the hand of the Lord. First Samuel 2 and 6, the Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave and bringeth up. And like I read in Isaiah 29 and 6, about how the Lord would visit with fire, storms, tempests, and earthquakes. And that's exactly what we see happening all over the world: fires, storms, tempests, and earthquakes. So when we say that there is no getting around these scriptures, the Lord gives daily examples to confirm what we're saying. Job 4:7, remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? And the answer is that nobody has perished being innocent. So all the people that are confirmed dead and all the people that are not yet confirmed dead, none of those people were innocent. Whether they be men, women, children, elderly people, none of them were innocent in the eyes of the Lord. They were all wicked, and the Lord was angry with them for whatever reason. So where were the righteous cut off? And the Lord has never cut off the righteous. So those people were not innocent, nor were they righteous in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 8, even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. And that's what's happening in these last days. Wicked people who have angered the Lord are now reaping what they've sown. Ecclesiastes 3:1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Verse 2, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted. And for all the people who have died out there in those 2 earthquakes in Venezuela, it was their time to die. And like I said, whether they be men, women, children, elderly people, pregnant women, doesn't matter. It was their time to die according to the Lord. And there was nothing that could have been done to stop that. Zephaniah 3:5. The just Lord Yahweh is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. That's right, the Heavenly Father was in the midst of that earthquake. And that earthquake, or those 2 earthquakes, those were not wickedness. That was not wickedness from the Lord. That was judgment. That was righteous judgment. That was punishment from the Lord upon those wicked people out there. And every morning, every day, the Heavenly Father brings his judgment upon these wicked people to light. And yet these wicked people, they still don't learn. They still don't get their act together. Psalms 9:16. The Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Hegeon Selah. Once again, the scripture is letting you know that this is the judgment of the Lord. There is no getting around it. People will try to say, oh, it was just Mother Nature. Like, no, it wasn't. Like, stop trying to give the rightful credit that belongs to the Lord to somebody or something else. That in itself angers the Lord. When you refuse to acknowledge him and want to give his credit to someone else. Psalm 7:11. Yahweh judgeth the righteous. Yahweh is angry with the wicked every day. And this was yet another example of the Lord's anger towards wicked people. And once again, there's a lot of people that do not understand that. You know, these wicked people, they continue to provoke the Lord unto wrath because they don't understand that this is what the Lord is capable of doing to them. Isaiah 48:22, there is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. And that's right, you know, summertime is supposed to be fun. Blue sky, sun's out, nice breeze, or, you know, going to the park, going to concerts, going hanging out at the mall, you know, flying to different cities and countries, just hanging out outside, having fun. But yet, for these wicked people, it's everything and anything but fun because the Lord just keeps bringing judgment upon them. And rightfully so, of course. But there really there's no peace for these people. Just constant judgment that these people deserve. Luke 21 and 22, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. And we are undeniably living in the days of vengeance. That's why major deadly earthquakes keep hitting, and deadly fires, and deadly storms, and tempests, and mass shootings, and plane crashes, and helicopter crashes, and deadly car crashes, and just constant judgment and chaos and terror. This is James 4 and 9. Be afflicted, and mourn, and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to heaviness. And that is what these wicked people are experiencing, and that is what they will continue to experience. Just death and destruction and chaos and many great miseries and affliction and mourning and weeping and heaviness. Because this is what happens when you anger the Lord. This is what happens when you provoke the Lord unto wrath. You're going to get punished. And those punishments are not going to be light punishments. They're going to be heavy because the Lord is going to show you his anger. For all the people out here that think that the Lord is just some passive power who's just going to turn a blind eye to your wickedness, that's not the case at all. The Heavenly Father, he sees all the wickedness going on, and it angers him daily. And then it gets to a point where he's like, okay, I've seen enough. Time to bring judgment. And then he drops the judgment hammer on these people. And that's when deadly things like the 2 earthquakes that just hit Venezuela happen. And the men of the Lord, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, are daily warning people. Letting them know, like, hey, all the wickedness that you're doing, it's going to result in the Lord unleashing hell upon you. But nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to take heed. Nobody wants to take the warnings from the men of the Lord seriously. And then judgment like this ends up being the end result. And a whole lot worse is going to happen in these last days to these wicked people. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. In closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Rakakudash, the Wadi Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to our brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to the sincere Akwath, which are the sisters, the sincere ones. And shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Adawan Ratazah, which means Lord's will. Till next time, shalom.